بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله brothers.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
First of all, we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We testify that there is no one worthy of worship except for Him, that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His final messenger. Today, alhamdulillah, we have gathered again for a nasiha by our beloved Sheikh Abu Ibrahim. I don't need the introduction, everyone knows him, and it is going to be about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, brothers, we'll make sure that your phones are put on silent. Inshallah, rectify your intention that you come here for the right reason. Barakallahu fikum. I'll pass it over to the Shaykh.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending peace and blessings upon His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I want to thank the brothers for inviting me from the Camden Dawah Center to do this series about the life of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and obviously jazakumullah khair to each and every one of you for attending. So the topic is going to be the Seerah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's something that with discussions with the brothers we decided obviously to do as part of a serial. I mean, it will be done once a month, inshallah ta'ala, where we will cover the life of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam part by part. And it's important we understand what we mean when we discuss the issue of Seerah. Because Seerah in Arabic, the origin comes from the word journey. So sometimes we can find the word musafir, the one who travels. So when we talk about the Seerah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we're talking about the journey of the life of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the point we're talking about is from birth right up to death. So inshallah that's what we want to hope to achieve over the next few months, inshallah. And the Seerah obviously will encompass the major events in the life of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Also we will understand from the Seerah the characteristic of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So these are the things that we want to understand, inshallah ta'ala. Now one of the things I want us to understand is we have something very beautiful in this deen of al-Islam that none of the other Adyan religions had. And I want us to appreciate this from the very beginning. We have something which is known as sanad. Sanad, which means, another word could be isnad, which means chain of narration. See, when we talk about al-Islam, we have a chain of narration, I mean a way of authenticating where the knowledge came from. We're people who can verify that they heard something direct from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then people can verify to us that they heard it direct from the companions of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And so on. So it's important for us to understand that whenever we look to al-Islam, that our Islam is based upon a foundation, knowledge which we have yaqeen upon, certainty upon. And the reason we have this is because of this beautiful thing that we have in our religion which is called sanad, which is isnad. It's very important for us to understand, which is called chain of narration. So I want you to mention that because we're going to talk about a biography. Now sometimes biographies, when people write biographies, it can be, for example, bias in the way it's represented. You find these film stars, pop stars, whenever they're bad turn, what they do, they come out with a biography. So what the biography does is puts their life in a way that, you know, paints a nice picture sometimes. So we've got to understand biographies can be sometimes biased. But for us, we don't have any bias in that sense. What we have is what is known as facts. Because all of the ayat, the verses, are verified by people. The hadith, the narrations are verified by people. And even the athar. What is athar? Do we know what athar is? Yes, but what do we, in the science of Islam, what is athar? It's a narration of a sahabi or sahaba. So we have all of this. So what I'm saying is that when we study the Seerah, the life of the Prophet ﷺ, it is collated. It's put together by many things so that we can get this journey of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from birth to end, inshallah. And just to, so you know, for your information, there are historians that were around maybe 150 years after the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or 200 years after. This is the time when they collated all the information. And from amongst them is a famous collector of the Seerah of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam called Ibn Hisham. And he took it for Ibn Ishaq. So just to show you, this is where the source is for our Seerah. These are scholars at the time that they used to be great muhaddith. Do you know what a muhaddith is? Narrates the hadith of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Can you imagine the one who narrates hadith of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? He's going to know exactly what the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is like. Because the hadith talks about the characteristics of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The sayings of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the actions, even the consents of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So it's important for us to understand this. Also, by studying Seerah, by studying the life of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we want to obviously get greater understanding of our deen. We want to gain knowledge, to gain greater understanding of our deen. And that's why I said this many a times, is that some people, they say the Quran, if we have the Quran, is enough for us to understand the deen. I say it's not. Or some people say just the Sunnah, and I say it's not. It has to be a collation of all of these things. And this is what our deen is about. And when we look and talk about the life of the Prophet ﷺ, we find that all of this played a major part. And a lot of the evidence we're going to bring are going to be from Quran and Sunnah and Athar, inshallah. So what we want to do is gain a greater understanding of our deen by studying the life of the person that gave us our religion in the first place. The poster the brothers designed said, the life of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But I said, put a little slogan on the bottom. So the brother said, what do you put? And I said, just say, Rahmatan lil Alameen, a mercy to mankind. And Sayyidun Nas, and the most noble son of Adam. So I said, because we've got to understand, who are we taking our religion from? Who called him mercy to mankind? Rahmatullah, Allah Azza wa Jalla. And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, said, I am the most noble son of Adam. And that is not to boast. So we are going to study the life of someone very extraordinary. We need to understand and appreciate that. But what I want us to understand is that many of the times you would have studied Seerah, or you would have heard portions of a Seerah. One of the things that we need to get in the habit of when we study, and especially something like this, we're going to be over a period, is we want to get the crux of the matter always. What I want you to do is, by the time you leave that door out there, you grasp a greater understanding of a situation. And not just that, you take away knowledge with you. You know, sometimes when you have a long series and you study, by the time you get to the end, you've forgotten what was in the beginning. This can happen sometimes. So when somebody tells me, oh, there's a seerah and it's 40 hours long, I think, subhanallah, 40 hours. By the time I get halfway, I'm going to forget what the first part was. So we're trying to give it to you in a digestible manner. So what we want is you to leave it in a manner where we take concepts with you, inshallah ta'ala, and that they can play a great part in your life. So the Seerah of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the life of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is no mystery to us. It's so well documented. We know that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam lived for exactly, how many years would he say? 63 years. So I'm doing some of the testing now. Brothers want to test the other, and I said, it's up to you. If you want to test, you can. Okay? 63 years. But we can divide the life of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam into three main portions. The first portion, which is from date 0 up to 40 years, which we call before prophethood. Before the prophethood. I mean, this period, for 40 years, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was known as just Bashar. Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Qurayshi. He wasn't known as Muhammadur Rasulullah. He was not given the title yet, that he is the Messenger of Allah. So this, which is a great portion of the life, is in of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is the portion we need to discuss, which is known pre-prophethood. And then we have the two major distinct portions during prophethood, which is 13 years spent in Mecca and 10 years spent in Medina. So this is how, inshallah, we will study the Seerah of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So first and foremost, we need to discuss the issue, as I said, that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is someone who's known as Arabi, which means he's a No, that is no coincidence. It didn't just happen by chance that the mercy to mankind was sent to the Arabian Peninsula. So this is the first lesson I want to understand. Is that are we all Arabs here or are we Ajams? Ajams. Yes? So one Arab. We're all Ajams, yes? You would think like, why was this deen not sent to the Ajam, yeah? Okay? The people who don't speak Arabic, because it would make all our life a lot easier, wouldn't it? We don't need to translate the Arabic all the time. But no, you've got to understand there is a hikmah behind this. And even yesterday I was following a little, I wouldn't say exactly an argument between brothers talking about do we need to learn Arabic or do we not need to learn Arabic and so on. And in the end, basically, anyone who says you don't need to learn Arabic, you know he's going to be shot down, really. Why? Because the whole deen is based upon the Lughat al-Arabiyyah. The people who convey the religion, they knew the Arabic language, they spoke the Arabic language. So we need to understand that first and foremost, it was no coincidence. It was from the plan of Allah Azza wa Jal that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sent there. Because one of the things you need to understand is that there are certain qualities that the Arabs had. Maybe not so good now, but in the time it was something that was useful for this mission, the mission of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. First and foremost, they had this thing which was known as tribalism. That there were tribes, which said the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is from which tribe? Quraysh. But more than that, he's from the actual clan of Banu Hashim. You have Banu Hashim and then you have Quraysh. Quraysh is like a conglomerate of the main tribes in Mecca. How does that help? Because tribalism is something that we despise nowadays. But at that time, Allah Azza wa Jalla sent the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to a tribe. Why? Because the mere fact that they say blood is thicker than water. Okay? Whenever you have a problem, okay, sometimes your friends will even desert you. But your family, they never desert you. No matter how bad the situation. You'll find this, yes? So Allah Azza wa Jalla sent the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to a place where he would be protected by his own clan. And look to this. Which tribe did the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam come into? He came into the most noble. Even amongst the Quraysh, you had Banu Umayyah and so on, some of the other main tribes. But on top of that, the greatest tribe was what? Banu Hashim. Banu Hashim. So we need to appreciate that it was not a mere coincidence. Also, we need to appreciate is that Mecca, whenever we think about Mecca, what do we think?
Desert.
Desert, but what do you think? What is Mecca like today? It's like a big center. One of the things that the Arabs were hospitable. So how to spread the message of Al-Islam? See, if Islam was revealed in Siberia, how many people would go there? If it was revealed in Siberia, even the Russian people, they don't go there. So Mecca, just the idea of Mecca being a center, and especially a center of that part of the world, I mean people were going to come. It's the desert, but people were going to come, and people did used to go there. Also, the other thing is the issue of sidq, which means truthfulness. One of the things that they had amongst themselves is generally in society was to be trustworthy or speak the truth was something that was looked upon as good. Unfortunately, it's not today. We know that. If you're conniving and you're so on and you can do a deal or beat someone over, you're seen as someone good. But even in that time in the Arabian Peninsula, the word of a man was like his bond. And just to give you an example, Abu Sufyan, who was a mushrik at the time, when he was asked by the Roman emperor about the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, tell me about this man. He said, I felt like lying at that time. Because all I can do is speak good of the person. But the only reason I didn't lie is so that people wouldn't call me a liar. It's ajib, isn't it? A man, he can worship 360 idols. But in the end, he's worried about what people will say about him. So it is no mystery and it's no coincidence that it happened like this. So we need to understand this. Also, the other thing is, the Arabs, they were what is known as ummiin. Ummiin means? It means like they didn't used to really read and write a lot. So you may think this is like a handicap when it comes to Al-Islam. No, it wasn't, because they were an oral nation. I mean, you say something to them, subhanAllah, they memorize it on the spot. That's how they used to be. So all of this came in the favor of Al-Islam, and that's why Allah Azza wa Jalla chose that region, and that's why we need to appreciate that region, because of this last message that was going to come to the people. Last chance saloon, as they say. This is the last chance. This is where Allah, He chose from His hikmah to send the final messenger and the final risala. Inshallah. So let's talk about the life of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Do we know which year he was born? Do we know, anybody know exactly which year he was born?
Feel. The year of the elephant, isn't it?
MashaAllah, I like that. The year of the elephant. Okay, what does that equate in numbers? There is no numbers. It's important. I'm really happy the brother mentioned that, because there's a hikmah behind this. See, nowadays we are obsessed with time, are we not? Okay? Everything, is it 45 minutes, half time? Is it 90 minutes, full time? We're obsessed with time. Facebook, let's change the timeline. Time has such an effect on us. In that time, in the Arabs, they had a carefree attitude. Okay? The only way they knew which year it was is if there was a major event. And the brother is right in that sense. The year of the elephant. What actually happened in that year? The elephants came and wanted to attack the Kaaba. So that's how they used to remember a year. Now you may think, gosh, this is a basic way of life, but it's not. It is a simple way of life, but what it does, it takes away the stress. Because we live lives that are very complicated nowadays. Very complicated. Technology and so on hasn't really helped us anyway. People, they have to go on retreats, get away from life because of stress. But the Arabs, they had this thing that every year, if a major event happened, that's it, khalas. So on that year was the year of the elephant. And in fact, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born before the incident happened. But we will have to mention this. Every seerah mentions the incident of the elephant. Why? Who was coming with the elephants, do you know? A Christian ruler. Yes, Christian. He was coming to destroy the Kaaba. Why did he want to come and destroy the Kaaba? Because so many people used to go and worship there. So when he came with his army of elephants, he came and he sees everything that he saw. So he sees this land, he sees this property and so on. So what he did, he sees some camels. And they belong to a person called Abdul Muttalib. Who's Abdul Muttalib? Who is he? The grandfather of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Abdul Muttalib, he went to see Abraham. Now he went there and he said to Abraham, can you give me my camels back? Now Abraham is like this big king. He's going to come and destroy the Kaaba. He's got a big mission ahead of him. So when he sees this Arab man come, then Abdul Muttalib was just not anybody. He was like the chief. But he came and he said, look, just give me back my camels. This king, he looked at them and he said, Ajib, strange. So he said to him, I've come to destroy your Kaaba, the center of your world. You have all the trade and the worship because of the Kaaba. And you're worried about your camels? Abdul Muttalib, he turned around and he said, the Kaaba belongs to Allah. Baytullah, it's the house of Allah. Allah will protect it. But those camels belong to me. So give them back to me. Ibrahim was shocked. He just gave it back. What happened to the elephants in the army in the end? Allah Azza wa Jalla caused them to be swallowed up. And they were pelted by brimstone. Rocks made of fire. But what does this tell us? That the people, even before Al-Islam, what did they believe in? What did they believe in?
Allah.
Allah. It was Tawheed. It wasn't Tawheed. It was Allah. So to believe in Allah is one aspect of it. What did they used to do? They used to ascribe partners. They used to ascribe partners to Allah. But they believed that Allah was the creator. إِذَا سَأَلْتَكُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَا يَقُولُونَ اللَّهِ. If you were to ask them who is it that created the heavens and the earth, what would they say? Allah. That's what they would say. So just to show you, but what would they do? They would ascribe other attributes to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And that's why on one occasion when has anyone ever done da'wah to a Hindu? Yeah, have you tried to do da'wah to Hindu?
Yes.
Okay, what is their religion known for, even in this day? What do they have? They have lots of gods, yes? This time when I was speaking to this Hindu person in the da'wah store, he came and he just called me Akhif. And then he said, look, we are like on one religion. Now, come on, and you prepared to meet with a Christian, and then what do you say with the Christian? 3 in 1 and so on, you're prepared with all those arguments. He says, we are like brothers on the same religion. I said, how can you say that? I have only one God. He said, I have one God. I said, how can that be? You have Rama, and you have so on and so on, Vishnu and so on. He goes, yes, but you don't understand. They're all one. They're all one in the end of the day. There's only one entity in the end of the day. We believe in one God. So I said, Ajib, the way how people can be deluded. That's why the Quraysh, they said, مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى. We don't worship them. I mean, the idols that we create with our own hands and so on, we don't worship them except that we want to draw close to Allah by it. So that's why it's something very dangerous. That's why it's very important for us that when we ask, who we ask? إِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ billah. If you ask, ask of Allah, and if you seek help from who? Allah Azza wa Jalla. That's why many a time people used to come, even in the time of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, Ya Rasulullah, ask Allah for this. What did the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? What did he do?
Ask yourself.
He said, ask yourself. Ask yourself, because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is not going to give. Who is going to give? Allah Azza wa Jalla. So it's important that we understand that the grandfather of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was someone who believed in Allah. And he believed Allah would protect the house. He didn't believe anybody else would do except that. So it's important for us to understand about the event of the elephant, and that exactly was when the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born. Now when the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born, do you know the actual date? Do you know the date? You don't celebrate Milad al-Nabi and so on? You don't do all that? There, Sharam, you got no shame, you people. Wait till the uncles in your mosque hear about this.
Alhamdulillah.
And you are talibul ilm, you are people seeking knowledge. Yeah. It's in the calendar, go to your calendar, it'll be there. They say the 9th of Rabiul Awwal, okay? Which is the 3rd month in the Islamic calendar. Now, was there anything significant about the birth of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Yes, there was. The people in Syria, Sham, they said that they saw a light come all the way from the region of Mecca. Subhanallah. It is said that the palaces in Persia, they were crumbling on the birth of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So just these are some of the signs. How do we know that these were true? Because people who later on came into Islam, they verified this. They verified that these events happened. So there's something magnificent that happened at that time. But the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was born as orphan. Now what do we understand by orphan? Who is the orphan in Islam, from Islamic point of view?
Doesn't have a father.
Doesn't have a father. The yatim is the one who doesn't have a father. Orphan in Islam. Because what does the father normally do? Provide, protect, care, all of these things. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born without a father, in the sense that his father was not alive. His father had passed away on a trade. What was the name of his father?
Abdullah.
Abdullah. Now look at Abdullah, which means what?
Slave of Allah.
Is that name allowed? The best name. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said it's amongst the best names. Abdullah, and which one other name? Abdul Rahman. So even in that time they used to have some pure names like this. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passed away before the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came. So on one occasion, one man, he wanted to know. He said, Ya Rasulullah, Aina Abi? Which means, where is my father? What was he asking? He said, where is my father? Because he died before Islam came. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Huwa fin nar. He's in the hellfire. So the man, he walked away. He was very upset because he thought there's no hope for his father. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called him back. He said, come back, come back. He said, Abuka wa Abi huma fin nar. They are both in the hellfire. Hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, your father and my father are both in the hellfire. Now, this is a big point for us, because we have people in our community, they exaggerate in the love of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is the qadr of Allah. But they exaggerate, and they say, no, by the wasila, by the love of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his parents, they will enter Jannah. So this is what they say. But who is saying that they are in the fire? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Right? This is a point of controversy, because the ummah, they can't take this. So it's important for us to understand that he was born someone orphan. So he was taken in the care by his grandfather. His grandfather took him to the Kaaba, and he gave the Prophet ﷺ the name Muhammad. Muhammad, which was actually a rare name at that time. Believe it or not, there wasn't many people called Muhammad. Now today, if you type in what is the most popular name in the world, what would it be? Muhammad. Okay, because what do we have as a tradition? My son's name is Ibrahim, but my parents were like, you got to call him Muhammad Ibrahim. My son's name is Isa, you got to call him Muhammad Isa. Don't do this. They have this. So now, that's why, mashallah, we have many Muhammads around the world, alhamdulillah. So it was who? Abdul Muttalib, okay, who said and named his grandson Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, one of the traditions at that time was, the Arab culture was that when someone was born into nobility, one of the things that they would do is give the child to the Arab Bedouins that would come. It's called wet nursing, where they would feed. It's like fostering. So the witness of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, though he had few, the most famous one is known, his name is Halima. Halima, yes? She came and it was a year of famine. It was the year of famine. So they were looking for very wealthy people to take children from. Because what would the wealthy people do? During the famine they have reserves. They looked around, they couldn't find anyone, and who was left? Except the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she took him. Now she narrates, radiallahu ta'ala anha, that from the moment we took the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we found barakah in our family. She goes, one of the things, and we're not shy to talk about, oh, you're going to feed a baby, aren't you? She goes, I dried up by that time. She had her own children and she had other people to look after, other children to look after. She goes, I dried up by that time. She says, the camels that we had weren't given any milk. The sheep that we had weren't given any milk. She goes, no sooner had we taken Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we found barakah. All the other people were suffering, I was flowing. She said, the camel was flowing, the sheep were flowing. We've never seen so much prosperity. We benefited so much. And she said we benefited for years. It said that she looked after him for up to 2 to 2.5 years. Now, on one occasion, this is the time before the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going to be sick, the children were playing with the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they saw a man come and they grabbed the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A man came, and he's a mere child, less than 6 years old. He said that he put him on the ground and he was ripping apart the chest of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The children rushed back to Halima and they said, there is a man in the desert, he is killing Muhammad. Killing Muhammad. Who was that man? Jibreel. He took out the qalb, the heart of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He brought a golden bowl and then he had zamzam water in it and he washed the heart and he took out an alaq, a clot, and he goes, that there is the shaitan. He took out the clot and he got and put the heart back into the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This event, the splitting of the chest, happens twice in the life of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That time, just before he was sick. For what reason? To remove any essence of shaitan. This purification of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obviously, by the time the children, the family came, they found he was alright. He was just on the ground and no man to be seen. What did Halima do thereafter? She got worried. Son of someone noble. Imagine something like this happen. I'll give you an example. If you have children, okay, the wives always worry when they take their children to your in-laws. Okay, only father here will know why. It doesn't matter if they go to their other house, you know, the father's side, it's not a problem. They can fall and break their leg, it doesn't matter. But if it's the mother's side of the family, it's like, you know what's going to happen? Yes, see, you don't care for that child. See, that's what happened. So people worry like that. So as soon as that happened, Halima, she decided to give the child back to Amina. Amina, who was the mother of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now Amina, she looked after Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam up to the age of 6. And then she had a vision that she had to go and visit the grave of her husband. Her husband was buried in Medina. And he said that en route as she went there, she passed away. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is in the charge of, totally in the charge of Abdul Muttalib, who looks after him. And he said that he looks after him up to the age of about 8. And then Abdul Muttalib passes away and he goes to the charge of who? His uncle. His uncle's name was Abu Talib. Now it's important for us to understand who are the uncles, the real uncle, the blood uncles of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. There are 4 main uncles that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam had. 2 were believers and 2 died as disbelievers. Who are the 2 believers? Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib, Asadullah wa Asad Rasul. He became known as the Sayyidul Shuhada. He became the chief of the martyrs. And the other believing uncle? Al-Abbas. I want you to remember these names, we will talk about them. And the 2 people who die on disbelief are Abu Talib and his other uncle, Abu Lahab. These are actual uncles that are related by blood to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you can just see the hikmah. Allah, He decides. Allah decides who will die upon Iman and who doesn't die upon Iman. But it was Abu Talib who took the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He took the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam under his charge. Now, it's important for us to understand that who has the right in Islam. See, when, say a parent, they would die in a car crash, okay? And the children are left, and this happened. I remember last Hajj, did you follow this? But there was a fire that happened in Jeddah. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
There's one brother who came from Birmingham. He went there with his wife, and they were just getting ready in Jeddah, in the Ihram, and so on, to go to Makkah to start their Hajj, and what happened in the coach? Started fire. Now, it was said that they helped the people get off. But this brother and his wife, they couldn't get off, and engulfed in flame. They're the only people that died. I mean, the other people, they got off. They're the only people that died. He said that they left behind 9 children. Subhanallah. They were rivets. Subhanallah. So, now the question is, who has the custody of the children? Is it the father's side or the mother's side? Who has the custody of the children? But what are people inclined to in our community? Yeah, you say that, but no. Always you find it's on the mother's side. And this is something cultural. Okay? Always it goes to the first person who has the right to the children is the father's side. And that's why we say there's Chacha and Mama, yeah? Okay? In lineage, who is stronger to the child?
Chacha.
Chacha. Do you understand Chacha? Chacha? Khal? No? What do you say? How do you say uncle? In your language,
Adair and Ati.
Is that what you say? Is that what you say, someone? What do you say? Go ahead, say it loud. Say it loud, don't be shy. Okay, so you say.
Ati is your mom's side, Adair is your.
MashaAllah, that's fine again. So is what you say in Arabic, and Khal you say, which is in. So you got the paternal side, and you got the Khal, which is the maternal side. And in fact, we even have Khala, don't we? We have Khala, which is meaning our side, maternal aunt. So they're the people that have the most right, and it was Abu Talib who had the most right to look after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Abu Talib kept the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his care, and one of the things that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did in the early years, remember he's from 8 and so on, is he used to look after the sheep. Now this is something which is the sunnah of Allah for the prophets, okay? Because has anyone ever worked on a farm before? Or we were just townies, little townies, aren't we? So we ain't got a clue. Who's been back home? Okay, what do you do to the cow? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I've done that.
I let my kids see that, you know, when they go with the rice and so on. I said, look, because what does it teach you? Dealing with animals. It makes you humble. Humility. You have to have sabr as well. Okay? You have to have this nature. Okay? I mean, a cow and a bull is very tame, yeah? But you get on the wrong side of that thing, you see what happens. So it teaches you to have patience and so on, and be calm around that nature. And this is the nature of the prophets. This is the nature of all the prophets. Okay, that they have such humble beginnings, and also that they are taught patience. Okay? Patience. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did this for a period. Until he came to the age of 12. And on that time, Abu Talib, now one of the things that you can understand is the Muslim Ummah is an ummah where the main profession of the people is tijara. Okay? Trade. Okay? And especially in the Arabian Peninsula, the people, they used to do the trade. So on one occasion, Abu Talib takes his nephew, who's 12 now, and he wants to take him on a trip, not to Medina, but to Sham, Syria. And he said that when he got to Busra, he met a monk there. Do you know the name of the monk? Bahira. Now I want you to understand this. Bahira is the name of a monk. Now, Bahira is a monk that he never ever entertains people. Because monks, what do they like to do? They're like hermits. They want to go and stay in quiet areas, in the mountainside. They want to stay away from the people. You ever see these kung fu movies, yes? Shaolin monks, where are they? The top of the Himalayas. Okay? If you can take this road or this thing up to the top, then you made it into my camp. Yeah? This is what they like. I like on Facebook, one brother, he did the climb, yeah? The Everest climb. But he admitted he didn't get to the top, he just went up a little part of it. But he goes, he did a bit of martial arts himself. He goes, but then I thought, let me try with these guys. And they busted it out of it. Because I left it after that. But look, monks, okay, the monks in that time, the aesthetic, they want to stay away from the life and the traps of life. But this monk, what he did, Bahira, he came out and he entertained Abu Talib. This is unheard of. This is unheard of. So, when asked about it, why are you doing this? He said, I saw you from a distance. He said, I saw you from a distance. I was watching your caravan and I saw this young boy. And I was looking to the trees and they were making sujood. I looked to the rocks and they were leaning over making sujood. Who is saying? Bahira. He said, I saw them making sujood and I knew straight away that verily the trees and the rocks, they never make sujood except to a prophet. And he said, Hada Sayyidun Nas. He said, this is the master of all mankind. SubhanAllah. And do you know how he knows this? He said, I knew this because it's been foretold in my scriptures. I was just waiting for the sign. And then he said, turn around to the child. And he said, the seal of prophethood. This is the final, because this is the final prophet. He said, is there. And he showed a little mark, like a pigeon on the back, underneath the shoulder blade of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he said, this is the master of mankind. That's why Allah said, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَهُ الْكِتَابِ يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاهُمْ. Remember this. Those that have been given the books, they know him, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, like they know their own sons. It's important for us to understand, because what do we have? We have debates with Christians and so on, and when we talk to them, they deny all of this fact. But the Christians at that time, they had all the books, they had the literature, it was there in their science. So Bahira, he said, no, Sayyidun Nas, this is the master of mankind. Affirmed from his own scriptures. So it's important for us to understand that the people at that time, they had every opportunity. And that's why we find Christians, they did enter into Al-Islam. They did enter into Al-Islam because the haqq had come, the truth had come to them. So Bahira, he says to Abu Talib, take him back. Don't let him enter into Sham, because who would want to kill him? Who would want to kill him? Not the pagans. What is Syria? The Romans? Byzantians. Who else was there? Al-Yahud. He said the Jews, the tribes of Jews, they would want to kill him. So what had happened, Abu Talib, he got one of his people who were on the caravan and said, go back. And he continued with his trade, because this is their livelihood. So he was sent back. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he went back, and so he wasn't able to trade until he became 25. And then at that time, he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he became a trader. And he was in the service of Khadija radiallahu anha that he became one of the people that went up towards Syria and so on. And he said that when he was sent with the caravan, he came back from that occasion double the profit. This has not been heard before in the caravan. Although Khadija radiallahu anha, she was someone who had made a lot of money, but she never observed that the caravan would come back with double the profit. And then she asked, were there any strange signs around him? And he said that on the caravan when we went with him, we always found there was a cloud or something above him. We found that there was always calm and peace around him. So it was Khadija radiallahu anha who then decided, whilst the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam 25, and she was how old at that time? 40. To send a proposal. It's nice, isn't it, when a woman gives a proposal? Brothers not married here, hands up. It can happen. Is it a sunnah now? Now we want to understand. This is Khadija radiallahu anha. Yeah? Is it sunnah now for a woman to give proposal or not? What do we think?
No.
Yes.
I want to give you an answer to that in a bit, inshallah. Okay? Let me explain to you. So, Khadija radiallahu anha, what she does, she sends a proposal. How does she send this proposal? Via someone called Nafisa. She goes, Nafisa, who's someone who's in the employment of Khadija radiallahu anha, and goes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's only Muhammad ibn Abdullah at that time, and she goes, I've come with a proposal to you from Khadija. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he can't take it serious. This is his first reaction, okay? He says, I can't take it serious. Why would she want to marry me? Firstly, she's one of the most beautiful women in Mecca, even though she's of that age, and she is sought after by many people. Many people, and she turned down the offers, like really rich people in Mecca and so on, and people from a far afield. She goes, no, this is serious. I'm come with the proposal. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he realizes it's a true proposal, what does he do? How does he react to this? How would you react? If somebody came to you, like your sister comes, okay, and many times this is how proposal goes. You know, my friend, she likes you. This is dangerous, yeah? My friend likes you. What do you think? Really? Let's go. Let's go. This is how you reckon. Let's go. It's like, no stopping you now. Subhanallah. We have to have patience in this time. Look, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he knows this etiquette. This is one of the most noble people in Mecca, Quraysh. He sends the word to his uncle, Abu Talib, to go and speak to her uncle. And this is something, another principle, that we have something called honor. See, the way we deal with marriage even, the way we do it is honor. Okay? That's why the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there is no nikah except that there should be wali amr. Wali amr. That there should be a guardian for women. Because the way we talk about women in Islam, they are id, they are honor. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he could have rushed back because he knows the verdict. You know? Will you marry me? Of course, I sent the proposal in the first place. But he wasn't like this. He does it in a nice, honourable manner and so on. And then we find that the proposal happened. Now, I want you to understand something else. The wedding of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how did it happen? There was a dowry involved. So the dowry was given. Okay? What else was involved? There was a khutbah. Khutbah to nikah. The khutbah to nikah was given by who? Who gave the khutbah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's wedding? Do you know who it was? Abu Talib, because he's the chief of Quraysh. There was a walima. There was a walima. There was a feast given. Okay? Is this sunnah, I ask you?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to remember. So two things. Women proposing and this issue. Is it sunnah or not? We need to understand this. Okay, inshallah. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he marries Khadija radiallahu anha. Okay. And from Khadija radiallahu anha, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is given children. In fact, we know the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not a mystery to us. We know the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam married many times over, but it was Khadija that bore most of his children, and it was just one other woman who gave him a son called Ibrahim. So now the test, do you know the order of the children, and do you know what type? Okay, who was the firstborn child of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? We love Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Fatima. Fatima was the youngest, one of the youngest, mashallah. But it's good, I rate you for trying, bro. Zainab. There was someone older than Zainab. No, Ruqayya was younger than Zainab. I'm testing you now. You know why? Because no, Kulthum was younger still. So you got the main Al-Qasim. Al-Qasim is who? The son of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is called Abu Qasim, the father of Qasim. Okay, so this where you call yourself Abu, like my name is Abu Ibrahim, yes, is something that was an Arab tradition. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam called Abu Qasim. Normally in the family you've got a kunya, and this is something which is good to have, kunya, because you can call each other by name and so on. You can call each other, but it's like a respectful thing. There's something in the Arab tradition where people will call themselves Abu so and so, Abu so and so. So we find the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was called Abu Qasim. Do you all have kunya? Do you all have a kunya? Is anyone here not called Abu something, so on? Who hasn't got a kunya here today? Hands up. You don't have kunya? Okay, you all have a kunya, inshallah. But then, one of the ways, if you're married, it's very easy for you. You name yourself after your first son. So my first son is Ibrahim, so I'm called Abu Ibrahim. But I can also be called Abu Isa because my second son is called Isa. So this is one of the things you need to understand. So the firstborn of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is Al-Qasim. Okay? Why is Al-Qasim not very famous? How comes he gave me the name of all the daughters? Why? He died when he was young, infancy, quite young. So, but the name still sticks. Abu Qasim, he was called even until he reached Medina. Because when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is in Medina, he has a Jewish boy who's a servant, and this boy one day didn't come to the service of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam rushed there to find out what had happened, what was happening to the boy. He was dying. So, who's got Jewish friends here? Anyone got Jewish friends? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in Medina had someone serving who was a Jew. Sometimes we've got to understand our thing in context. I want us to understand in context. He rushes. This is a servant boy only. He could say, whatever happens, happens. No, he rushed. He rushed there. What did he say to him? He said, Qul la ilaha illallah. Say la ilaha illallah. The boy, who was he looking to? Who was he looking to? His father. He looked to his father and then looked to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Qul la ilaha illallah. Say la ilaha illallah. This is your ticket to Jannah. Boy again looked to the father. He said, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam third time said, Qul la ilaha illallah. And then the boy looked to the father and the father said, Ati Abul Qasim. Obey Abul Qasim. His father is someone Jew. He says to his son, no, but obey Abul Qasim. So the king said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was happy. He said, Alhamdulillah, Allah has saved one person from the hellfire. That child is in Jannah now or not Jannah? He will be. Why? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam affirmed this. Abul Qasim was the kunya of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam because of the first son of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The order thereafter is who? Because I know some of you write in notes, is Zainab, daughter. Then we said Ruqayya, daughter of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Kulthum, then Fatima. Were there any other children? Go. Go, mashallah. One son or two sons? What do you think?
He had 2 sons.
He had 2 more sons. Okay? One called Abdullah, another son called Tahir. All from Khadija. But the boys, they passed away always in infancy. So it's a big test. Big test. I know many sisters, they want to have a son and so on. And what will happen? When they're in pregnancy, it looks fine, and then what happens? Miscarriage. Miscarriage. Very sad. Sometimes you find this. Now, we don't know what the exact reason is, but sometimes it can be that a woman is carrying a man-child. Can you imagine? Maybe this is the thing, it doesn't work sometimes. Allah knows best. So whenever this happens, it's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the children of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And they're born, how old was Khadija? How old was Khadija? After 40 she gave all these children. Okay? Because I know our women nowadays, they hit 30 and they say, no more children. But he only gave me one, no more children. Jihad. You haven't been through it. Okay, I find this all the time. No, look to this. The human body is extraordinary. It is extraordinary what it can do. Khadija, even after the age of 40, and we start thinking women hit menopause at 40 is wrong, okay? After that, gave how many children? Gave up to 6 children to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. To the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So inshallah, we're coming to the period now when we talk about when the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was 35. Okay? Now why is it important that we talk about the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at the age of 35? Because something major happened that year. It was the year of the great flood. What did the flood do? The flood came and destroyed the Kaaba. Totally to the foundation. Now sometimes we think the Kaaba, house of Allah, how can it ever get destroyed? You know, some people have this, yes? Some people have this attitude, the house of Allah, it can't be broken. But in the end of the day, it is bricks and mortar. But it's the house of Allah. A great flood came and destroyed it. Came and destroyed it to the point there's only foundation. So the Quraysh, they decided in that year we should rebuild the Kaaba. But they had a problem. What was the problem? Money. Go ahead, inshallah.
Is it the stone?
It was the stone. They had 2 problems. They had firstly the money, and secondly, we came to the point when they were building black stone, what to do with it. Let me talk about the money because it's important for us to understand. One of the conditions, my dear brothers, is that when Hajj season will be upon us very soon, before you know Hajj will be upon us, is that the Hajj, whatever you do Hajj, the money you use is lawful. Licit money, yeah? Not illicit money. No haram means. The Quraysh, they build in the Kaaba to put idols in it, but they know the house itself of Allah Azza wa Jal cannot be built with haram money. They had a lot of money there. They had some gangsters. I'm telling you, they had money from prostitution, money from alcohol, even drugs. They had all of these sort of things. Entertainment. They didn't use any of that money. Build the house of Allah, they didn't use it. Which means, how can some people be like this? It's like the brother, we know he deals drugs, yeah? But you see him on Friday, what does he do? Topi and thobe. Clean shaven still. But can you see? It doesn't, sometimes you think, like, how can people be like this? But there's a principle there. There is a principle there. So the Kaaba, they wouldn't build with haram money. They had all of the money there, but they didn't use it. So one of the things that happened, the Kaaba, which is a cube, is not actually a cube. It's not actually a cube, it's more like a rectangle. Okay, that's originally how the Kaaba was. But they ran out of money, so they decided to make it a bit smaller. The second thing which was a problem was the issue of the black stone, because that was the only thing that was left. So all of the tribes want to put the black stone there because it is a fadl, it's like a virtue, a status if I can do this. So they started to argue amongst themselves. So they came up with a proposal amongst themselves. They said the next person that comes in towards the haram which is the sanctuary, what will we do? We'll ask him to arbitrate. Who came in? An-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. An-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came in and they said, who has come in? Al-Amin. Al-Amin has come in. Mean the trustworthy has come in. Which goes to show good character was something that was looked upon in a high manner at that time. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam called Al-Amin, which means they had no problem. Now the trustworthy will come and speak to us. So when the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came, he said, you have a big dilemma here. The way to resolve this is we will get a blanket. Put the black stone in there and you will all carry it. And that's what they did. They all carried it up to the point of the Kaaba. And then he, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he took the stone and he placed it himself. No one argued. No one argued. Because at that time in the situation, it was the best solution. He, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his character was enough that all of the Quraysh, they would accept his solution to this. Al-Amin is called. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he resolved this issue, which shows that he had some influence in society. He had some influence in society. He had some status in society. Though he didn't really get into the nitty-gritty of it. The politics inside of that, he didn't get involved in this. But he did have some influence there. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this was at the age of 35. Now I want us to do a review up to this point because we're coming up to the point of 40. What happens at the age of 40? Revelation will come. But I want us to have a review. What is the review that we need to understand? What was the character of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam up to that point? Al-Amin, trustworthy, yes? Which means people in the society where they used to try to do each other over, they looked at him Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and said, he is trustworthy. In his judgment, in his character and so on. But look, up to the age of 35, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is surrounded by a region where people come to Mecca. They bring their idols there. So that the Quraysh can tend and look after it. 360 idols are housed in the Kaaba. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam doesn't worship one of them. Kind of difficult, isn't it? Kind of difficult. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he didn't do this. There's a reason behind this, we need to understand. There is a lot of superstition. A lot of superstition, meaning if this happened, then this will happen. So on and so on. And we have no such thing as khurafat. Khurafat is called, khurafat means superstition. We don't have this superstition. Like for example, if you hear, or if you see a crow fly in that direction, what would happen? Say you flew in the direction, the left direction. You have to turn back. There's no trade. This is how the Quraysh used to be. They want to go out to do business, okay? And then what would they do? They saw a crow, they said, khalas, no business. Today we can have no McDonald's. Roti only, what we got in the house. There's no trade for you on that day. This is how the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to shun this. He used to shun things like lottery. He never got involved in lottery. That we take an arrow and we decide how to do a thing. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, up to that point, he shunned this. Didn't drink alcohol. Never used to womanize. So, this Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there are a few companions, we're going to talk about companions inshallah in the next few sessions, but Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he doesn't do these sort of things. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he doesn't like to listen to music. Now, this is something for all of us, inshallah. Music is very tough, I know, for people to give up. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, on one occasion, he hears some music, he comes and he says, what is happening? And the people say, there's a party going on here. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he wants to go towards it, what happens to him? Thanks. Falls asleep. Now, is music allowed in Islam? What about walima? Weddings?
Just tabla.
Tabla and so on? Singing allowed? Yeah, it is allowed. There is singing allowed. There is certain, like tabla is allowed and so on. But look, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's going, what does Allah do to him? To cause him to sleep. So there's certain instances. But generally music, not allowed. This is an argument for those people who say it is allowed anyway. Because Allah protect the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from this. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not go around half naked. Because the people, they used to make tawaf. This is how they used to make tawaf, yes? The women, they would go bare naked and they would wear a niqab. Now, sometimes you think we've seen bad stuff here, yes? You've got to imagine, this is the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he had to put up with this. Women would walk around naked. I was going to say B-U-T-T, naked. Okay? But I think you got the picture. And they would wear a niqab. And that was a sign of piety for them. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he would never walk around half naked. On one occasion, when he was building the Kaaba, helping towards building the Kaaba, Al-Abbas took the loincloth of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, take that off, put it on your shoulder. You hurt your shoulder. What happened to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Fainted. And as soon as he woke up, what did he say? He said, where is my izar? Where is my izar? And from that day onwards, until Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam passed away, nobody ever saw his region, which was his aura. So we've got to understand this is all happening up to the age of 40. Why? There is something called being ma'soom. Do you know what ma'soom means? Infallible. Infallible. Infallibility. Now this is a big fitna in the Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because this title being ma'soom, does anyone know any Shias here? Do you know any Shias here? Used to know Shia. I'm sure you would have from the reading. One other thing, this is called infallibility, which means what Allah is making someone infallible. I mean, even Allah is guiding this person in these certain things where there may be some doubt. Allah protects that person from this. Up to the age of 40, what is happening to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Allah has made him infallible in that sense, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen him, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So to attribute this infallibility to other people is wrong, because it's only for the prophets. Allah Azza wa Jal, He chose him, and that's why one of the names of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Mustafa. Mustafa means chosen one. So we can see up to that point, what are we finding? And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is impeccable character. And this is not just Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look to the lives of any of the other prophets. You don't find that they were lured before. They never used to gamble. They never used to drink. They never used to womanize. These are any of the prophets I mentioned in the Quran. You study their life, this is one of the things that you will find. So this is why they are called inspiration for us. I know sometimes we like to hear stories about bad boys and rude boys, and we think, yeah, this man had a past. But these are not people that give an example for us. Maybe you can relate to him, but in the end of the day, Allah chooses the best of examples for us. Best of examples for us. We don't need to go through the route of being a rude boy first, or a bad boy here, or so on, or so on and so on, and then say, I've come through it. No, there are people, mashallah, they grew up in Islam, and inshallah they will die upon Islam, and all they know is al-Islam. And we should give credit where credit is due. So let's talk about now the age of 40, inshallah ta'ala, because what we're coming to the point where revelation, and it's important for us to understand. Now, we said up to the age of 40, there's certain things that happen. Are they sunnah or not? We need to understand in a bit, inshallah ta'ala. Because this is the question that we want to answer before we leave. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he's nearing the age of 40, one of the things he finds is that he is seeing visions. Now these visions he can't understand or explain, but what would happen? These visions would happen, and during the day, the event would actually happen. So he would see something in his mind, or in his dream, and during the day, as the day went, it would happen. It would become true. Now Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he doesn't know what is happening to him. So at that time, he feels an eagerness to want to go away from the people. So he goes to Jabal al-Nur. There is a mountain called Nur, and in amongst the cave there. So in the cave, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes there, and what does he do? He meditates. Now what is meditation? What do you understand about meditation? Has anyone tried meditation at all? Close your eyes and what, go to sleep? How do people meditate? Yoga and so on, all of these things. What does meditation do? Focusing, yes? What are you focusing on? But we know Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to do this before prophethood, before the revelation came. How long did he do this for? Do you know how long he did this for? It was something that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did for about 3.5 years before the revelation. He used to do this anyway, meditate. How did he meditate? We don't exactly know. He used to meditate. So on one occasion, when these visions were getting very strong, and one of the things he used to do is go in the month of Ramadan to this cave. And he said that during one of these sessions where he was meditating, a man came. What did I say, man? Who is it really?
Jibril.
But was it Jibril in his true form? No, it was a man. Because how big is that cave, by the way? Has anyone been there? It's not that big. You seen pictures? You been there? Anyone been there? I couldn't do the walk, brother. I didn't go in there, but I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, I had my family with me, and I said I can't do that. But I've seen the photos, and I'll take your testimony. How big is it? Can you show me? Big as this room? No way. Yeah?
Just for prayer man.
Just for a prayer man. I mean, you know, this is it. You yourself, and I. Okay? And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there. So we know Jibril came. We know Jibril. He came in the form of a man. Because what is the true form of Jibril alayhi salam? How big is he? Come on. From the earth up to the heavens. How many wings does he have? 600. 600 wings. This is the narration. 600 wings. So Jibreel in his true form is not going to go in there. It's good for us to understand this. So we find that Jibreel alayhi salam came in his form from man. And then he came up to Nabi sallallahu alayhi salam and he said, Iqra, which means to read. Now when you read something, how do you read something, Akhi? If I tell you to read, what would I have to do to you to ask you to read? It could be sometimes from something in front of you, yes? Or something from memory, because sometimes, you know, you get these students of English literature, they're reading Shakespeare from their head and there, are they not? Yes? So read. But on this occasion, when Jibreel came in the form of the man to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said, Iqra, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Ma'ana biqari. What does that mean? Ma'ana biqari?
I'm not a reciter.
I'm not a reciter. Okay? I'm not a reader. So what is the understanding at the time? What did Jibreel alayhi salam come with? The scholars, they say that Jibreel alayhi salam, when he came at that time, he came with something written. Because Nabi sallallahu alayhi salam can say stuff from his head. He can say stuff from his head, but he cannot read. So Jibreel said again, a second time, Iqra, recite. Nabi sallallahu alayhi salam said, Ma'ana biqari. Third time he said, Iqra, recite. Nabi sallallahu alayhi salam, Ma'ana biqari. And each time this is happening, Jibreel, after he gives the command, he grabs Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam so hard. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, as though I cannot breathe. That's how hard he grabbed me. Until on the third occasion, Jibreel alayhi salam said, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. The first 5 ayat of Surah Al-Alaq, which is the 96th chapter of the Quran. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, do you know what he did at that time? When he heard it being recited to him, he recited it back. Because he can hear something orally. So that's why the strongest argument there is that there was something presented to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam memorized it, then he started to rush out of the cave. He was rushing back to Mecca. Not Medina, Mecca. How far is that, brother? Mecca, tell me. How long would that take you? The climb itself, how long did it take you? Take a while, yeah?
Yeah, it took a while.
Wow, so just to show you, he's in a state of fear, he's rushing back. And he rushes back after that period. And all he's seeing then in the horizon is Jibreel alayhi salam in his true form. Everywhere he looks, all he sees is who? Jibreel alayhi salam. And he rushes back to Khadija and then he says what? Cover me. Zamiluni, zamiluni. Okay, cover me, cover me. And he is cowering. He is cowering and he's shaking. This is the effect of seeing Jibreel alayhi salam. So when he is calm, Khadija radiallahu anha asks the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam what happened, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam relates it word for word exactly what happened. And then he even quotes the verses. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was able to retain this. And then he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said he fears for himself. And he said that time Khadija radiallahu anha, she says some words of wisdom. She's no prophetess or so. She says Allah would never disgrace you. I mean, she affirmed at that time it was an angel that came. These ayat are from who? Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is the first person to hear from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is a test of iman. Allah, he says that for the believers, Allah he kataba fi qulubihum iman. The one who is a believer, Allah he writes iman into their hearts. She says that Allah will never disgrace you, and these are the qualities that she says. Because of the fact that one of the things that you do, you bring families together. Families together. Because who tries to break up family? Shaitan. So you try to bring families together. You help the weak, mustad'afin. Sign of piety is that you help the ones not fortunate like you, the one weak. You also help the one who is amongst the fuqara wal masakin, the poor and the needy. Because sometimes someone can be in need of your help, but not poor and needy. She then says that you are someone that you honor the guest. When someone comes to you, you honor them. You don't disgrace them. And then she says that you are someone who strives in the path of truth, even though the burden will be put upon you. Who is saying this? Khadija. She's given the qualities of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said, Allah would never disgrace you because of this. Which means, my dear brother, if we were to have these qualities and we stand fast in this, will Allah disgrace us? Allah will never disgrace us. And a lot of the things that Khadija radiallahu anha, she said, they became hadith thereafter. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam talks about don't break blood ties. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, help your Muslim brother. And Allah Azza wa Jalla sends the verse of zakah, and he starts off with what? Fuqara wal masakin. Can you see? Then we find the issue of none of you is a believer until you do what? You honor your guest. And then what should you do? You should be upon the haqq and have patience. And this is words that were coming from Khadija radiallahu anha. And then what does she do? She takes him to who? Her cousin. Her cousin name is Waraka bin Nawfal. Now Waraka bin Nawfal was someone who was a Christian. Her cousin was someone Christian. Though he was originally Arab, he traveled and then he came back. And after studying all of the other religion, he decided the best religion to be upon was what? Christianity. Now was that a good choice for him or not? I want you to answer that. Yes. Why?
Because at that time they believed in one God.
That is the closest religion to Al-Islam at that time. Though Islam had just been revealed. This is a question that we need to answer as well. There's something called, people call Ahl al-Fatra. Have you heard of Ahl al-Fatra? Sometimes we ask the question, what about people where Islam didn't come to them, but they're so good? They never used to drink, they never used to worship idols, but they just used to believe there was God. Will they go into paradise? Before Islam came, there was 600 years, there was no prophet. You're trying to tell me that Allah will throw them all in the hellfire? No. Ahl al-Fatra, these are the people that if they hold on to what they could of religion, they will be accountable according to the intention. So Waraka bin Nawfal, he says to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam regarding the person that came, that he said, Hada Namus. The one that came to you, his name is Namus. From our scriptures is Namus, means Jibreel alayhi salam. And he is the one that came with the revelation to all the previous prophets. So what did he affirm by saying that? What did Waraka bin Nawfal, this Christian, affirm by that time? That Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was a prophet. Did he say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan? He didn't say Islam. He didn't. But he affirmed this. And then he said, there will become a time when you will be thrown out by your own people. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I'm going to come and proclaim to the people I'm a prophet. Now prophet is not just any person, is it? It's a messenger of Allah. Allah sends revelations. My people are going to throw me out. And you can understand how the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam feels. He's Al-Amin, the trusted person. But I'm going to go and tell him something tremendous. Waraka bin Nawfal said, yes, because this is the way of the prophets. No, every prophet that Allah sent revelation to, the people always, they went against. So this is another lesson for us to learn. That just because we start practicing, doesn't mean always that we're going to be accepted by even our family. Sometimes when we start practicing, alhamdulillah, it's good that you're all practicing. The first few years are some of the most turbulent times. Because you will even find your own family, they go against you. SubhanAllah, you used to be Hanafi all your life, you're Wahhabi now. What is this? What is this? Below the belly button. It becomes, these are the people, you know. When I went to Bangladesh and I was praying, people firstly, they thought I was Qadiani. And I said, come on, I'm inside the fold of Islam at least. Then they said, you are Shia. And I said, come on, give me a... Then they said, but you're not Sunni. And I said, Rafi al-Yadayn, the three other madhaib, come on. They practice Rafi al-Yadayn. I'm speaking to Imams like this. You think like, subhanAllah, how can they be like this? Sometimes you are tested by your own people, people close to you, so on. So this is something that we need to understand. So Waraka bin Nawfal, he testifies to this. So Waraka bin Nawfal, where is his situation? What do we understand his situation is? His situation is, he said, if I was to live longer, I would support you all the way. So he gives bay'ah to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, I will support you. So it's important for us to understand that period, because that person, a Christian at that time, came and comforted the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So coming to the conclusion of our session today, because I want to stop at this sort of point, I want to just explain that something else happened to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay, and that was that the revelation stopped for a period. How long exactly? The scholars, they differ. How long exactly the scholars differ? They say it could have been a few days, could have been a few months and so on. We don't know exactly the amount. But one of the things that we know that happened was that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam became very depressed. Hazeen. He felt grief. He felt that his Lord had forsaken him. I mean, he just chosen as prophet, and then the revelation stopped. So what did the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam decide to do? Do you know? He went up to the top of the mountains. He wanted to jump off. Who would come at that time? Jibreel. And he would say, you are verily, innaka la Rasulullah. You are verily the messenger of Allah. No more revelation came. Jibreel would just come and they say, at that time when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was to fall off, he would say, verily you are the messenger of Allah. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked back. A few days would go like this. Feel bad again, then go up and climb and want to do this again. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed, Ya ayyuhal mudaththir, kum fa'andir. Ya ayyuhal mudaththir, okay, which is from Surah Juz Tabarak. Oh, you who is mudaththir, that covers up, what should you do? Kum fa'andir, go and rise and warn. What does this mean, go and rise and warn? The scholars, they said, when Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq was said, Allah Azza wa Jalla confirmed and affirmed that the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet. Because the prophet is the one that Allah reveals to. But when Allah SWT revealed Surah Mudaththir, Ya ayyuhal mudaththir, kum fa'andir, rise and warn, Allah affirmed Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Ar-Rasul. Because Ar-Rasul is the one who will take Risala, message now. Because you have to go and warn the people. And this is the job of the messengers. So Allah Azza wa Jalla chose Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the messenger, and he said thereafter the revelation came very strong. Surah Duha came, Surah Muzammil came, and all of these were revealed to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a short period. Inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to stop it there, because the next stage we're going to talk about, which is known as the Meccan period, and inshallah will be split over 2 sections, and we'll try to give examples which we can inshallah benefit from and take into our life inshallah ta'ala. So this is the point I'm going to conclude. وَقَوْلِ قَالَ هَذَا أَسْتَغْفِرُ لِي وَلَكُمْ سُبْحَانَكَ رَبِّي بِحَمْدِكَ أَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ أَسْتَغْفِرُكَ وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْكَ.
Jazakallah khair so much, Shaykh, for that insightful dars upon the Seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And I'd like all of you to make dua for our Shaykh for taking the time out to prepare for us. And alhamdulillah, Allah has been very insightful. It helps us grow a love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and just to learn about him to get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, we're going to open up now for some questions. If there's any parts you'd like to ask about, or any comments, inshallah. Okay. Anyone?
Did Khadija's uncle, cousin, did he become Muslim?
Did the Waraq bin Nawfal become Muslim? He didn't actually take the Shahada. But we know, this is something which has been discussed, we know the fact that he gave the support and he affirmed the belief. Because at that time, what we're going to understand is people didn't have to go and give the Shahada. Because by that time, the verses of saying go and warn to the people had not been revealed. So it was a case of we accept him as the Prophet, but to take the testimony from the people was not something from the very beginning. Okay, so was he a believer? He was a believer. But did he take the Shahada in the sense the Shahada we have today? He didn't take it. But he affirmed Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the Prophet. Because the warning came after. And inshallah, one of the things we're going to find in the next stage when we discuss about it, the warning open publicly happened even 3 years after that. So we take him as amongst the believers, but not as amongst the one who testified as Shahada. And inshallah, when we discuss the next period, we're going to talk about some people who are inside the fold of Al-Islam, even though they didn't take the Shahada. We'll discuss it inshallah. Yes, go ahead.
You said something about certain things that he did, were they sunnah or not? So you could clarify.
MashaAllah. Let's talk about some of the things that happened. What are some of the things that I mentioned that happened? Marriage. So we said, is the issue of women going up and asking, Khadija radiallahu anha done that, and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that sunnah? We said, is the fact that there's a khutbah sunnah? Is there a fact that there is walima sunnah? We said the other fact, what do we say? But the wali amar, is this a sunnah? We said the issue of even the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam meditating. Is this sunnah? What we need to understand is this, there's a principle. Anything that happened before Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, to that point, none of that happened before there is sunnah at all. Is not reference point for us. We can't quote a situation of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and then say, for example, oh, but the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he married someone 40. I have to go and do this when I'm 25. It's sunnah. It's not a sunnah. Okay? We can't say that, oh, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to meditate. What's wrong with meditation and yoga? Not a sunnah. Anything that happened before that period, we do not consider sunnah. There is no reward in imitating it because of the fact it happened in the life of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam before the age of 40. It's not a sunnah at all. But look how beautiful Islam is. Islam came to organize the affairs of mankind. What he found good was affirmed. What he found good was affirmed. So regards to even nikah, the dowry affirmed. And the dowry is from who? Man gives to the woman. The other type of dowry, for example, where a woman gives to a man, which happens in which religion? Hinduism. Okay? A woman has to give a dowry to a man. This sort of thing was not acceptable. Khutbah of nikah. Who gave the khutbah? Abu Talib. But he started talking about Ibrahim alayhi salam in the khutbah. So this khutbah we keep. Wali Amr, the one who has to give away the bride, we keep all of these things. But other things, they weren't kept. They weren't kept, like the meditation wasn't kept. To go into the cave and worship Allah in the cave wasn't kept. Not allowed. Some of the Sahaba, they wanted to do this. Not allowed. So the principle is we study for what purpose? To understand the character of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to find how Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because you got to understand he was in that society. How Allah protected him, what character he had and so on. And then how he had to deal with it after the revelation came. It's important for us to understand that, inshallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Any more questions, inshallah, Ikhwan? No?
You had one.
Brother, we will take some general questions as well, inshallah, if you want.
Oh, right, okay.
We'll take some. Yeah,
Yeah, let him.
okay, any general question we'll take. Go ahead.
I just spoke to a brother and he told me if a Muslim Ummah conquered another land and there was that, obviously when they conquer land the people will be slaves to them.
Yes.
This is what the Bible said to me. It will be okay for him to sleep with a woman there. That's the question.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, mashallah. This is talking about the issue of taking concubines in warfare. What you have to understand is the warfare that they had at that time, very close combat and so on, and one of the things that would happen is there would be slaves of war. This is just the nature of the wars that there was at that time. Basically, once any army, regardless of Muslim or non-Muslim, that's why it's very dangerous for Muslims to lose a battle, because their woman would be taken. So that's what, one of the things that will happen is any war at that time. The rules of engagement was that you will fight, and if there was no truce and one army subdued another army, then you would take the people around as concubine. I mean women. You can split man and wife and say, this is mine. This was the rules of engagement. This part I want to discuss more in the Medinan period, if that's okay. But to answer your question, is it halal? It is halal. How is it halal? It needs a bit more explanation, inshallah. It needs a bit more explanation to explain this, but this is something that is allowed from the rules of engagement. But it has to be under certain condition and so on and so on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
So even if you're married?
Even if you're married, yes. Because one of the things Allah says that the women should cover, okay? A woman should cover, and the woman should cover except that which your right hand possessed. The women don't have to cover in front of other women and so on, and even the ones that you possess with your right hand. So this is called what is known as concubine. And it's something that we had. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had concubine. Sahaba had many concubines. They used to have this. So we'll discuss this because this is some of the things I want to talk about culture in the next few sessions, inshallah ta'ala. Because every time we study a period, we're understanding the culture of that time, the tradition of that time. And we're also learning ahkam, ruling of that time as well. And Allah
so would it be just in this time though?
It will be just in this time. But again, when we come to Medina, we're going to talk about ghazawat. We're going to talk about battles and we're going to tell you the rules of engagement. We're going to take it from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We're not going to say, quote anyone now, because people will say, you are quoting so and so and so. We say, no. We are studying Seerah, the journey of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the life of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Anything I'm going to give you in a ruling, I'm going to give as Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. Because what we're going to learn over the next period, inshallah, in Mecca, is we're going to learn about dawah techniques and so on, and so on and so on. We're going to talk about patience. This is what we're going to talk about in the Meccan period. And then when it comes to Medina, we're going to talk about rules of society, engaging with non-Muslim. We're going to talk about even battles. What Islam says about battles. Because Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam fought how many battles himself? Up to 29 battles. And amongst them there was concubine. And concubine is something acceptable on Islam. But I want us to understand the hukum related to the circumstances and so on, inshallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Allah for that question. Very insightful question, mashallah. Anyone else for any question? General topics? Any questions? Yeah. No? We'll close it up there for inshallah. One announcement?
Sorry, Baba, I can't stand up. Basically, but the Baba just asked a question. We got a course on the 26th of May. It's run by IUA. Basically, in society, you get confused Muslims or atheists who come and ask you these kind of questions. And subhanAllah, we get on the back foot when it comes to our religion. We question it, how can that be halal? Just exactly, fine, perfectly, excusable to ask that question. So this course, basically, they teach you how to do dawah to atheists, non-Muslims, any kind of dawah, basically. And they go for all these kind of questions that the non-Muslim nowadays in society for us. It's completely free, it's on a Saturday, it's just down there, it's from 9:30 to 7. So if you're interested, come and see me afterwards, and I'll sign you up, inshallah.
That's it. I'd like you all to please make dua for our Shaykh, for alhamdulillah for coming. Do you have another question?
Yeah, but do you know the Zamzam water?
Yes.
Did Abu Talib find the Zamzam water?
Oh, the Zamzam well, the origin of the Zamzam well, if that's the question you're asking, it wasn't Abu Talib, it was actually...
I know who it was. It was Ibrahim's wife.
Yeah, Hajar.
But I heard she hid it because there was an ex-tribe came to Mecca, so she hid it.
Okay.
And then I want to know who found it after.
It's a very good question, inshallah. The Zamzam well, what it was is something bestowed by the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. It was bestowed to Ismail alayhi salam and his mother Hajar. There was no water in that region before. It was said that Hajar, she took some rocks and stones and she formed it into a bir, which is a well. Because if that wasn't to happen, it would have been a river today, the Zamzam. So what had happened is that area of Mecca was barren at that time. The tribe, they came because it was a cross point and so on. There wasn't the towns or anything that you find there at all. People just left it, became barren. So when the people found there was a bit there, a well, it became like a land of oasis. The people wanted to come and live there. But in Arab culture, one of the things that they had is that people would possess the well. So the possession of that well became the possession of Hajar, and then she said it will belong to my son, Ismail. So people would have to give respect to that, and they said that the water belonged to them, and that's why. She didn't hide it, but the people, they had to acknowledge it was the well that was given by Allah, bestowed upon Hajar alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. So that's why she never actually hid it, because the well itself was known, and the people came because they heard of this. And that's why Mecca became a center thereafter. Otherwise people would just pass it before that. And obviously we know that one of the things that wasn't there in that time, even when Hajar and Ismail, is the Kaaba is not to be seen. So afterwards they found the foundation of the Kaaba, and it was Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ismail, that the two of them, they built the Kaaba from foundation. Then people started to come and want to worship there. And that's why even the Arabs, then they started to say, we are upon the millah of Ibrahim.
To add to that, because see what I got told was the actual original Arabs, they came from Yemen, and Ishmael became the chief there, and he made his own sector, because he married one of the Yemeni Arabs, and then he made his own, because he breed, obviously he will breed, and he made his own type of Arab people. Is that true?
Very good. You know, I like this question, mashallah. Obviously, you know, brothers, when I did the talk today, I can only do so much, okay, because there's a lot of information. Well, I like it when it hits a chord. This part is very important. The original Arabs are from where? Who are the original Arabs? Do we know? They're from where? Yemen. Kahtanis, they're called. Kahtanis, yes? They came, you're right, brother, they came to the region. Ismail alayhi salam, did he speak Arabic before then? No. Hajar alayhi salam, did she speak Arabic? No. Okay, so just want to understand. In fact, there are only 4 prophets that spoke Arabic as their mother tongue. Who are they? You know who they were, the 4 prophets? I want us to understand this. Hud, Saleh, and who else? Hud, Saleh, who else? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, one other prophet. Huh? Not Musa. Not Yusuf.
Ibrahim.
Not Ismail. He's not an Arab prophet, he's a non-Arab. He's a foreigner. Not Dawood. Should I make your homework or shall I give the answer? Okay, give the answer. Okay then. Shuaib alayhi salam. From Madian. Okay? Shuaib alayhi salam. Okay? Alright, now it's important for us to understand, yeah, the question we're asking, yeah? Because so we're saying Ismail alayhi salam was not originally an Arab, but he learned Arabic, and he learned it to a level very high, that he was able to bring a form. It's like the Fusha we talk about, a classical Arabic that came about from there. So Ismail alayhi salam, he learned of that tribe, and what we got to understand is anyone who studied Arabic here, hands up. Anyone studied Arabic? Who's travelled to Arab country to learn some Arabic? No one. Okay, no one. Some people, mashallah. Okay, there's something called lahja. Lahja, yeah? Ammiya, some people say. Lahja means a dialect. You will get this. Even amongst Arabs, and they're said to be over 250 million Arabs, you will find even from country to country they speak a different form of Arabic. So this is one of the things. Some linked to the region, some linked to a certain tribe, and so on and so on. So Ismail alayhi salam, yes, he did formulate it from Arabic and so on. But he took it originally from the original Arabs who came from Yemen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Okay, inshallah, we'll close up there, and we're going to be serving some refreshments at the back.
So, next week, inshallah, Ustaadh Ustadh Abu Fatima is going to give it. He's He's going to be giving it on, inshallah, on arrogance and how to deal with it, inshallah.
وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. السلام عليكم.